At just 5 years old, Kendrick Lamar witnessed something that would change his life forever. Sitting outside his apartment in Compton, he watched as a teenage substance dealer was gunned down in a drive-by shooting. But this isn't just another story about a rapper from the streets. This is about how a quiet kid with a stutter became one of music's greatest poets. Born Kendrick Lamar Duckworth in 1987, he wasn't just another Compton resident. His parents were Chicago transplants who moved west because of his father's ties to the notorious gangster Disciples. Living in Section 8 housing, dependent on welfare and food stamps, young Kendrick, nicknamed M.A.A.d, was forced to grow up fast. But here's what most people don't know about Kendrick's early years. While many saw him as just another kid from the streets, his teachers saw something different. In first grade, he shocked his teacher by correctly using the word audacity. But it was his 7th grade English teacher, Regis Inge, who changed everything. As racial tensions tore his school apart, Inge introduced something unexpected: poetry. For Kendrick, it wasn't just about writing, it was survival. While other kids were doing homework, he was filling notebooks with rhymes, processing trauma and depression through words. But just as Kendrick was finding his voice, the streets came calling. Gang warfare erupted during his summer school sessions. The same kid who was acing every class was now dodging bullets between periods. The situation got so bad that his father had to stage an intervention. At 16, everything changed. After losing a close friend, Kendrick made a decision that would alter his path forever. He got baptized and turned to Christianity. But here's the twist. The same kid who once felt spiritually unsatisfied with church sermons as a child would go on to create some of hip-hop's most profound spiritual commentary. By 2005, Kendrick graduated with straight A's, turning down opportunities to study psychology and astronomy in college. He bet everything on music, and we all know how that turned out. Before he was Kendrick Lamar, he was just a high school kid named K. battling in parking lots and freestyling behind tattoo shops. But one friendship would change everything. In high school, Kendrick went by K. turning heads with his raw freestyle talent. One day, another student named Dave Free heard about this incredible rapper and drove all the way from Inglewood just to watch him perform. The two clicked instantly, both obsessed with hip-hop and spending hours watching Martin together. But they weren't just watching TV. Dave had a makeshift studio in his garage, and that's where the magic started happening. Picture this: 2 teenagers cramped in a garage, laying down tracks that would eventually lead to greatness. K. wasn't performing at major venues back then. His first shows, behind a tattoo parlor and at what he calls a super hood comedy club. Dave was right there with him, hyping up the crowd while Kendrick's brother handled the DJ duties. In 2003, something happened that would change everything. K. dropped his first mixtape, Youngest Head in Charge. But here's the crazy part: it wasn't the music that got him his big break. Dave Free was working as a computer technician when he met Anthony Top Dog Tiffith. While fixing Tiffith's computer, Dave played him Kendrick's mixtape. Tiffith was blown away and invited Kendrick to audition for his new label, Top Dog Entertainment. The audition? Kendrick freestyled for 2 hours straight. The label executives were shocked, one impressed, one completely confused. But it worked. In 2005, Kendrick signed with TDE, even buying a stake in the label. To make ends meet, Kendrick worked as a security guard while recording at TDE. But during this time, something even bigger was brewing. He connected with 3 other artists, J-Rock, Ab-Soul, and Schoolboy Q, forming what would become the legendary Black Hippie Group. The story could have ended differently. Kendrick actually signed with Def Jam and met Jay-Z, but things fell through. Looking back, Kendrick admitted he wasn't ready. But sometimes what seems like failure is just part of the journey. From freestyling in high school to becoming one of hip-hop's greatest artists, Kendrick's story proves that sometimes your biggest breaks come from the most unexpected places. What if I told you Kendrick Lamar once tried to be Lil Wayne? In 2009, a young Kendrick dropped C4, a full mixtape copying Wayne's Carter 3. The internet clowned him hard for it. But here's where it gets interesting. While everyone was laughing, Kendrick was secretly leveling up. He joined the game's tour as a hype man, but something was bothering him, his old stage name. So he made a decision that would change everything. He became simply Kendrick Lamar. This is when Kendrick went into his villain arc. He locked himself away and created an EP that was completely different, dark, personal, raw. Critics who laughed at him before, they called it his first masterpiece. But Kendrick was just warming up. In 2010, he dropped Overly Dedicated and something crazy happened. Dr. Dre himself found Kendrick's music video on YouTube. The same Dr. Dre who made Eminem and 50 Cent. He wanted to sign Kendrick immediately. Then, in 2011, everything changed. Kendrick dropped Section .80, featuring the legendary track High Power. The album only sold 5,000 copies first week. But what happened next shocked everyone. Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and The Game all crowned him the new king of the West Coast, in West LA, on Kendrick's home turf. The prophecy was fulfilled, but this was just the beginning of Kendrick's reign. Fun fact, during this time, Kendrick briefly dated another rapper named Nitty Scott. In early 2012, while opening for Drake's tour, Kendrick was hiding something massive. He'd already started planning his next album, but nobody knew what was coming. Then the impossible happened. Dr. Dre's Aftermath Entertainment and Interscope. Both signed Kendrick at the same time. The industry froze. Their first move, dropping The Recipe, Kendrick and Dre together on a track. But that was just the appetizer. On October 22, 2012, Kendrick dropped a bomb on the music industry, Good Kid, Mad City. Working with legendary producers like Pharrell and Hit Boy, he created something nobody had ever heard before. The singles were everywhere. Swimming Pools became his first top 20 hit, Poetic Justice. Don't Kill My Vibe, Backseat Freestyle. But here's what the radio didn't tell you. Behind the scenes, Kendrick was fighting demons. While touring with Kanye West, he hit rock bottom, dealing with depression, survivor's guilt, and even suicidal thoughts after losing 3 close friends. Then came the verse that changed everything. On Big Sean's Control, Kendrick dropped what Rolling Stone called one of the most important hip-hop verses of the decade. He called out every major rapper by name: Drake, J. Cole, everyone. The internet exploded, but the real crazy part, Good Kid, Mad City did something not even Eminem could do. It stayed on the Billboard charts longer than any hip-hop album in history, over 10 years straight. Why? Because Kendrick did something nobody expected. He completely flipped gangster rap on its head. Critics called it a masterpiece. The numbers were insane: 242,000 copies first week, the highest of any male rapper that year. What you just witnessed was the moment everything changed for Kendrick Lamar. In 2014, he walked away from the Grammys with 0 awards despite 7 nominations. But instead of breaking him, this snub set the stage for one of the most dominant runs in hip-hop history. The internet exploded when Macklemore posted his apology text to Kendrick after winning Best Rap Album. But while Twitter was busy making memes, Kendrick was plotting his takeover. Here's the crazy part. In just 24 months, he would completely revolutionize rap music. Let me show you how. It started with a single called I, but nobody was ready for what came next. To Pimp a Butterfly drops unexpectedly. This wasn't just an album, it was a movement. Kendrick didn't just rap over beats, he created a fusion of jazz, funk, soul, and wrapped it all in raw, aggressive bars that spoke directly to the racial tension gripping America. The numbers: 324,000 first week, #1 on Billboard, #1 in the UK. But the impact was bigger than sales. Billboard said something fascinating. 20 years ago, a conscious rap record wouldn't have penetrated the mainstream like this. Think about that. His BET Awards performance of All Right became an anthem for the Black Lives Matter movement. But Kendrick wasn't done. His Taylor Swift collab Bad Blood gave him his first #1 hit. He dominated the MTV VMAs. He embarked on the intimate Kunta's Groove Sessions tour. And then, the 2016 Grammys happened. Remember that zero trophy night in 2014? Well, in 2016, Kendrick earned 11 nominations, the most ever by a rapper in one night. He won 5, including Best Rap Album. But here's the wildest part. In March 2016, LeBron James tweeted at Kendrick asking him to release his unreleased tracks. A week later, Untitled Unmastered dropped, a collection of unfinished To Pimp a Butterfly songs that still went #1. By the end of 2016, everyone wanted Kendrick on their track. Beyoncé, The Weeknd, Maroon 5, Travis Scott. That snubbed kid from 2014. He had transformed into rap's most vital voice. In just 2 years, Kendrick Lamar didn't just take over hip-hop, he changed what was possible in rap music. On April 14, 2017, Kendrick Lamar dropped an album that would make history. Not just hip-hop history, we're talking actual history. But before we get to that mind-blowing achievement, let me show you exactly how Damn became one of the most revolutionary albums ever made. The signs were there from the start. When Kendrick dropped Humble as the lead single, it didn't just chart, it dominated. The track shot to #1, becoming Kendrick's first chart topper as a lead artist. But that was just the beginning. Damn wasn't just another album drop. It was a carefully calculated blend of what Kendrick calls the timeless and the modern. While his previous album, To Pimp a Butterfly, went experimental, Damn did something even riskier. It went mainstream without selling out. Let's break down these numbers because they're absolutely insane. 603,000 units sold in its first week. All 14 songs charted on the Billboard Hot 100 simultaneously. Spent 4 weeks at #1. Became the 7th best-selling album of 2017 worldwide. But here's where things get really interesting. By June 2018, Damn achieved something no other rap album had ever done before. Every single track earned at least a gold certification. Every single won. And then came the tour. The Damn tour wasn't just big, it was massive. We're talking $62.7 million in revenue, making it one of the highest-grossing hip-hop tours ever. Kendrick wasn't just selling albums, he was selling out arenas. But the real game changer, April 16, 2018. On this day, Damn won the Pulitzer Prize for Music. Let that sink in. A rap album won a prize traditionally reserved for classical and jazz compositions. This wasn't just a win for Kendrick, it was a win for the entire culture. And if you thought that was the end, Kendrick had one more trick up his sleeve. He dropped a collector's edition of Damn with the tracklist in reverse order. Why? Because this album was literally crafted to be played forwards and backwards, telling 2 different stories. So here's the real question. Was Damn Kendrick's greatest achievement, or was it just the beginning? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about how Kendrick Lamar completely changed the game. Imagine performing at the Super Bowl with Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, and Mary J. Blige, and winning an Emmy for it. That's exactly what happened in 2022, but this is just the beginning of Kendrick's incredible journey. In 2022, Kendrick dropped Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, an album so massive it became the first hip-hop album that year to hit 1 billion streams on Spotify. But here's what's really crazy. Every single track from the album made it onto the Billboard Hot 100. 3 of them straight to the top 10. The Big Steppers tour that followed? It shattered records, becoming the highest-grossing rap tour ever, bringing in an insane $110.9 million. Think about that. No rapper had ever earned that much from touring before. But Kendrick wasn't just breaking records on stage. He was making power moves behind the scenes too. In 2020, he launched PG Lang with Dave Free, setting up his own creative company. By 2023, he'd quietly left Aftermath Entertainment and signed directly with Interscope, a boss move that showed just how much control he had over his career. The awards kept coming too. At the Grammys, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers won Best Rap Album, while The Heart Part 5 took home Best Rap Performance and Best Rap Song. He dominated the BET Hip Hop Awards, taking home multiple awards and setting 4 new records in the process. Throughout all this, Kendrick kept collaborating with other artists. He appeared on tracks with Beyoncé, America Has a Problem, worked closely with Baby Keem on The Hillbillies, and even executive produced Baby Keem's short film adaptation of The Melodic Blue. What's truly impressive about Kendrick's journey is how he keeps pushing boundaries. He's not just a rapper, he's directing short films, executive producing projects, and constantly evolving as an artist. The question now is, what's his next move going to be? First, let's dive into March 2024. Kendrick Lamar shocked the world by jumping on Future and Metro Boomin's Like That. This wasn't just another feature. The track dominated the Billboard Hot 100 for 3 straight weeks. But here's what makes it crazy. This was Kendrick's first song to ever debut at number 1. The beef didn't stop there. Over just 2 months, Kendrick dropped 4 Drake diss tracks: Euphoria, 616 in LA, Meet the Grahams, Not Like Us. Here's where it gets insane. Not Like Us made history as the first rap song to top Billboard with a limited tracking week. But that was just the beginning. At the 2025 Grammys, Not Like Us didn't just win, it swept the board with 5 awards: Record of the Year, Song of the Year, Best Rap Performance, Best Rap Song, Best Music Video. But the biggest moment, Super Bowl 59. Picture this: Kendrick, joined by Caesar, Samuel L. Jackson, Serena Williams, and Mustard, putting on a show that broke Michael Jackson's 30-year viewership record with 133.5 million viewers. The numbers don't lie. In February 2025, Kendrick became the first rapper ever to hit 100 million monthly Spotify listeners. And he's not done yet. Kendrick's working with the creators of South Park on a comedy movie dropping July 4th, 2025. Plus, his surprise album GNX and tracks like Watch the Party Die and Money Without Me prove he's still the king of unexpected drops. You won't believe how this love story started. Back in high school, Kendrick met Whitney Alford. Fast forward to 2015, he put a ring on her. But that's just the beginning. In 2019, they welcomed baby Uzi, and in 2022, they shocked fans with a surprise announcement. The cover of Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers revealed their second child, Enoch. Now, here's where things get real. Unlike most rappers, Kendrick never drinks or do substance. But why? One night in his past, he tried smoking what he thought was just weed, but it was laced with dust. That one experience changed everything. He never touched substances again. Years later, when he got the chance to act in Power, guess what role he specifically asked for? A substance addict. Why? Because growing up in Compton, he knew these characters. In his words, you grow this type of love for them. You don't want to see nothing happen to them, but you know he's dangerous. Picture this. A young Kendrick Lamar standing with his dad at the Compton swap meet, watching his future unfold. Right there, Tupac and Dr. Dre were filming California Love. Little did they know they were inspiring hip-hop's next greatest storyteller. But here's what most people don't know about Kendrick's influences. Tupac wasn't just an idol, he was the blueprint. Kendrick calls himself Pac's offspring, but there's a deeper story. While many call him the new Tupac, Kendrick fought to create his own legacy. The albums that shaped his cinematic style, Tupac's 7 Day Theory, Biggie's Life After Death, and DMX's It's Dark and Hell is Hot. As Kendrick puts it, these weren't just albums, they were films for your ears. Now, this is where it gets interesting. While everyone knows about Tupac's influence, Kendrick's sound was actually shaped by an unexpected mix. Mos Def's consciousness, Snoop's flow, and believe it or not, Eazy-E's independence. Without Eazy, Kendrick says he wouldn't even be here. But the biggest plot twist, it was actually 50 Cent who showed Kendrick the power of independence. And Eminem. He taught Kendrick the secret weapon of aggressive delivery. Just listen to Backseat Freestyle and you'll hear it. Here's the crazy part. Kendrick's musical DNA goes way beyond hip-hop. He studied legends like Marvin Gaye, Michael Jackson, and even performed with Prince in what GQ called 5 minutes of brilliant insanity. The final piece of the puzzle? Jazz legend Miles Davis and the funk masters Parliament Funkadelic. These influences helped create the masterpiece To Pimp a Butterfly. This isn't just about who influenced Kendrick, it's about how he took all these pieces and created something entirely new. He's not just carrying the torch, he's lighting up a whole new path in hip-hop history. He's been called the greatest rapper alive, but what most people don't know is how Kendrick Lamar completely transformed hip-hop by breaking every rule in the book. What makes Kendrick different? While other rappers chase trends, he's gaming the system. Get this, he started knowing nothing about production. Zero. But then he did something crazy. He locked himself in the studio, obsessing over every detail. Frequencies, melodies, octaves. Not for days, for years. Working with the same producer since 2009. Why? Because he had a bigger vision. Kendrick doesn't just make hip-hop, he makes what he calls human music. Every album is a completely different universe. Section 80, Jazz plus Psychedelic Vibes. GKMC, Atmospheric West Coast Redefined. TPAB, the jazz funk fusion that changed everything. DAMN, Pop Rap Perfection. Mr. Morale, Intentionally Uncomfortable Beats. GNX, Pure LA Street Sound. Here's what most fans don't realize. While everyone was trying to copy him, Kendrick was already planning his next evolution. Each album was designed to be completely different from the last. No two projects sound the same. Let's break down why Kendrick Lamar isn't just another rapper, he's literally changing the game. Billboard, Forbes, and Vibe all ranked him as the second greatest rapper of all time. Only Jay-Z is ahead of him. That's insane for someone still in their 30s. But what makes Kendrick different? 3 things set him apart. First, his technical skills are crazy. He can switch up his flow mid-verse like it's nothing. We're talking old school, new school, and flows you've never even heard before. Listen to this.
Just went viral. Right stroke, put little baby in a spiral.
Second, his voice is a straight-up instrument. Remember that raspy, powerful sound in You? Or how about when he goes into that smooth falsetto like Curtis Mayfield? Kendrick learned this trick from Andre 3000, and now he's mastered it. the craziest part. On albums like To Pimp a Butterfly, he layers his vocals so perfectly that critics said it sounds like you're standing in the middle of a crowd, but somehow you catch every word. But here's what really makes Kendrick the GOAT. He tells stories like no one else. Every voice change, every flow switch has a purpose. He's not just rapping, he's creating characters, painting emotions, and telling stories that stick with you. That's why the Times ranked him as one of the best singers of the 21st century. Not rappers, singers. Let that sink in. What if I told you one rapper changed hip-hop forever by treating his albums like movies, novels, and theatrical plays? We're diving deep into the genius of Kendrick Lamar's storytelling, and trust me, this will blow your mind. Picture this, you're listening to a Kendrick album, but it's not just music, you're experiencing a short film, complete with characters, plot twists, and hidden meanings. This isn't just my opinion. The New Yorker literally called him a master of storytelling. But here's what makes Kendrick different from every other rapper. He doesn't just write songs, he creates entire worlds. Section 80, that's actually a collection of short stories about millennials. Good Kid, M.A.A.d, a Scorsese-level crime drama set in Compton. To Pimp a Butterfly, a powerful letter about black life during Obama's presidency. Damn, a mind-bending exploration of human nature. Mr. Morale, a theatrical play about therapy and personal growth. Now, let me show you how he does it. Kendrick spends an entire year just collecting thoughts and ideas. He travels, meets people, and writes everything down. But here's the crazy part. He develops specific keywords and sounds that trigger exact emotions he wants to capture. But Kendrick isn't just telling stories for entertainment. Every album is packed with messages about racial inequality, black empowerment, social justice, personal struggles with faith, cultural identity. Don't just take my word for it. Billboard calls his writing Shakespearean. The Guardian compared his commentary to the State of the Union. Pharrell Williams says Kendrick's secret is his discipline with subject matter. Here's what most people miss. Kendrick plants subtle concepts in his music that you might not catch until your 20th listen. That's right. While you're vibing to the beats, he's actually delivering complex narratives that rival the best movies and novels. Unlike most celebrities, Kendrick Lamar is almost impossible to find on social media. But why? The answer might surprise you. He's actually more focused on his real life than his famous one. Sometimes being myself is all I know, Kendrick reveals in a rare moment of openness. Think about it. When's the last time you saw Kendrick in the tabloids? While other rappers flood Instagram with their daily lives, he's notorious for keeping things private. Even journalists who've met him are shocked by his zen-like calmness. Definitely not what you'd expect from one of hip-hop's biggest names. But here's where things get interesting. Remember that massive Drake beef? While many crowned Kendrick the winner, some say the victory came at a heavy price. The battle got so intense it sparked waves of online rumors and misinformation. After dropping Good Kid, M.A.A.d, people started calling him the modern hip-hop messiah. But not everyone's on board with his political messages. Some critics say he's got a savior complex. Here's the wild part though. Kendrick straight up claims he's the greatest rapper alive. And his reason? It's not about hits or hooks. In his own words to Zane Lowe, "I want to keep doing it every time, period. You have to confirm to yourself, not anybody else, that you're the best, period. That's my drive, that's my hunger." Kendrick isn't just a rapper, he's a business genius who never leaves anything to chance. Let me show you how he built his empire. First, let's talk about his legendary album drops. You know those cryptic messages and Easter eggs you keep seeing? That's all part of his master plan. But here's something most fans don't know. Before every major album, Kendrick drops a special series called The Heart. It's like a pulse check of what's really on his mind. This strategy, it's created one of the most loyal fan bases in hip-hop. They even have a name, the Ken Folk. They analyze every word, every hidden message. Why? Because Kendrick gets real with them. He shows his vulnerable side in these tracks. But here's where it gets interesting. While everyone's focused on his music, Kendrick's been quietly building a business empire. Major real estate in both California and New York. Part owner of TDE, his record label. Executive producer of TDE's film division. Angel investor in Engine Ears, a music tech platform. The fashion world, he's conquered that too. We're talking exclusive collaborations with Reebok and Nike sneaker designs. High fashion partnerships with Grace Wales Bonner and Martin Rose. Creating music for Chanel's haute couture shows. Last thing most people don't know, Kendrick's been playing the corporate game since 2011, working with giants like Microsoft, Bacardi, and American Express. But he keeps it authentic every single time. Kendrick Lamar isn't just making hits, he's making history. Picture this, a kid from Compton trading verses with a US president. That's exactly what happened when Kendrick joined forces with Barack Obama for the My Brother's Keeper initiative, turning their friendship into a movement for change. But Kendrick's activism isn't just talk. Let's break down his real impact. When George Floyd and Breonna Taylor's homicides shook America, Kendrick didn't just tweet, he hit the streets, marching shoulder to shoulder with protesters. Years earlier, he had already stood up for the LGBTQ+ community by supporting Frank Ocean's Coming Out, showing he's been about equality long before it was trending. Here's where it gets personal. Remember that quadriplegic fan who couldn't attend his shows? Kendrick bought them a wheelchair-accessible van. No cameras, no PR stunts, just pure heart. The numbers don't lie. $50,000 to his old high school's music program. Entire concert tour profits donated to Habitat for Humanity. Hurricane Sandy relief support. Annual toy drives in Compton and Nickerson Gardens. A massive $200,000 donation split between 20 LA charities in 2024. When controversy strikes, Kendrick doesn't hide. He's called out everything from Trump's presidency to the Supreme Court's Roe v. Wade decision, proving he'll stand up for what's right, even when it's not popular. From local toy drives to national movements, Kendrick Lamar shows us that real change starts with action, not just words. He's not just making music, he's making a difference. I didn't choose to be the voice of the generation. The streets chose me, Kendrick Lamar once said. But how did a kid from Compton become one of music's most powerful voices? Let's break down his unprecedented impact. In 2016, something incredible happened. While protests erupted across America, Kendrick's music became their soundtrack. His raw, honest lyrics about racial injustice gave voice to a movement. But this wasn't just protest music, it was art at its highest level. Think about this, Kendrick did something almost impossible. He bridged the gap between the streets and the elite. When he won the Pulitzer Prize, the first rapper ever to do it, the gatekeepers of high culture finally had to admit, hip-hop isn't just music, it's literature. But here's what's really mind-blowing. Even legends bow down to Kendrick. Bruce Springsteen, Madonna, and Prince all praised his genius. Even David Bowie, in his final album, took inspiration from Kendrick's To Pimp a Butterfly. When Pharrell Williams compares you to Bob Dylan, you know you're doing something right. And his influence? It's everywhere. From BTS to Dua Lipa, from Tyler, the Creator, to Rosalia. Today's biggest artists all point to Kendrick as their inspiration. As Lorde put it, he's the most popular and influential artist in modern music. What makes this story even more powerful is that Kendrick did it his way. He broke every rule in the industry playbook. He proved that you don't have to choose between making hits and making art. You can do both and change the world while you're at it. From a kid in Compton to making history, this is how Kendrick Lamar became one of music's greatest legends. You won't believe these numbers: 22 Grammy Awards, 37 BET Hip Hop Awards, the most ever, 11 MTV Video Music Awards, 2 Video of the Year wins, 1 Pulitzer Prize, first rapper ever. Kendrick broke records with 11 Grammy nominations, the most any rapper has received at once. He did something only Billy Joel achieved before: 4 straight albums nominated for Album of the Year. Time magazine named him one of the 100 most influential people. Forbes put him on their Celebrity 100 list. Complex crowned him Best Rapper Alive 3 times. Remember where it started. Compton showed love by making him Grand Marshal of their Christmas parade, giving him the key to the city, having him surprise students as commencement speaker. His masterpieces changed music forever. Good Kid, Mad City was named Greatest Concept Album Ever. To Pimp a Butterfly ranked #1 on Rate Your Music. Damn! Won that historic Pulitzer Prize. And he's not done yet. His tours are among the highest grossing in hip-hop history. Kendrick Lamar is more than a rapper. He's a storyteller, a visionary, and a voice for a generation. From Compton to the global stage, his impact is undeniable. But if history tells us anything, this isn't the end of his story. Kendrick moves in silence until the world needs him again. Thank you for watching. If you like this documentary, subscribe to our channel for more amazing documentaries.